Hey everyone, welcome to Instant Replay here on Lifestyle Sports. And today we're going to go over some topics in baseball here, some controversial notes, and then conclude by going over one of the most recent developments in baseball and getting my take on it. So let's go ahead and get started. So last night, today's the 19th, last night, the Marlins were in the Bronx. The Yankees won it 9-4. Bigger story, though, was Alex Rodriguez. He got his 2,999th hit. And when he went up there to the plate to try and get his 3,000th, he was walked on 4 pitches. So if the plan continues to work, every pitcher will just continue to walk him, so he'll never reach 3,000. But if that doesn't work, A-Rod's going to reach 3,000 at one point in time, and we'll have to figure out whether or not we want to applaud him for this or how we want our response to be. So let's start with the Yankee fans. Yankee fans are going to applaud him. Yankee fans are going to celebrate him. We already know that. They're only doing it because he's having a good year this year. If A-Rod's hitting like 10 over the Mendoza line, no one's celebrating this. No one's celebrating this in August. But the fact that he's been doing good and he's done so well that they've forgotten the fact that he was gone for an entire season because he took steroids, which broke the rules. And, I mean, he was suspended for a whole year, so I assume he took steroids on more than one account, maybe for the past couple seasons or every season he's ever played. That's just a Red Sox fan of me talking. So for myself, I'm not going to celebrate it. That's 2,999 tainted hits. I don't know how many of those are legitimate, so I'll take a rough estimate and say when he reaches 3,000, I'm going to say probably 700 of those are legitimate in my mind. And boy, I can just hear the Yankee fans typing away at how David Ortiz did it too, because there's definitely factual evidence behind that. But anyways, the Yankees, I'm very interested to hear how the rest of MLB celebrates him. I mean, he's going for 3,000, and MLB Network's not even talking about it. MLB Network's talking about what we're talking about. How is everyone else going to respond to it? So you can tell it's definitely a different feel than when I say a Derek Jeter got 3,000 because everyone liked Derek Jeter. This guy, not so much. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll see what happens when he gets that 3,000th hit. Maybe tonight, maybe not tonight. If he goes over 4 or something. So also last night we had the Rays and Nationals play each other. The Rays ended up winning that game 5-3. A bigger storyline in that one is the Nationals right fielder Bryce Harper. He left late in the game with an apparent leg injury. Still no word on what the injury is. Nationals are hoping it's a mild one. He was able to walk off, so that's good. But still, we could be looking at 15 to 30 days without Bryce Harper, depending on the injury. And for a Nationals team, which is extremely, extremely streaky, this is very bad news. That offense is not consistent on a year-end basis, day-to-day basis, too. And that pitching staff can only do so much. I know we've heard that the Nationals are supposed to be this great team year after year, winning 100 games. Will this be the year they actually win 100 games? It's not going to happen without Bryce Harper. There's not much in that offense I'm too worried about as an opposing starting pitcher. So that's my concern with the Nationals. They're already a game and a half behind the Mets, so they got to figure out how to fix that one too. So for right now, down on the Nationals, I expect them to struggle here without Bryce Harper. Depending on how long, hopefully it's not too long. But if it's an extended period of time, they might want to consider some pre-July trades, or else they might fall. I don't want to say they're going to fall too far behind because the Mets definitely aren't going to run away with the division. But they're definitely in danger. They're definitely got to figure it out and figure out how they can do without Harper. So another game going on last night is where the Pirates and White Sox playing at U.S. Cellular. It was actually a very good game despite the disparity between the Pirates and White Sox records and the trends. White Sox came into the game losing 6 straight. Pirates came into the game winning 7 straight. Ended up being the Pirates taking it 3-2 over the White Sox. Garrett Cole got his 11th win and will be leading 11 wins. And now the Pirates have won 8 straight. White Sox have lost 7 straight. So tale of two cities kind of here. Pirates, I'm really big on. A lot of team chemistry, pitching staff doing good enough, hitting's doing good enough. They're a scrappy team. They're finding ways to win games. I like that. White Sox, all those offseason moves just haven't lived up to the hype. They're just like the Red Sox. A week ago when the Red Sox lost 7 straight, everyone's writing them off. I'm doing this here with the White Sox. 7 straight. I know they weren't even near the top of the division, But if anyone was wanting to count them out now is the time. White Sox are done. 7 straight. They're not recovering from that. They already had so much. They had already dug themselves into a hole. Now they just drilled even deeper. So I'm down with the White Sox. They'll be sellers at the deadline. They're done. Jeff Samardzija probably be shipped off somewhere come July 31st. Pirates, I'm big on. They're not in first yet in the division. Cardinals are looking pretty bad right now. They have, of course, the whatever it's called, the Hackgate issue, but also the fact that the Cardinals have lost so many players to injuries. This could be the Pirates' chance. 8 straight is definitely a great start. And looking at all the divisions, if the season ended today, here are 4 teams that would make the playoffs. I'm going to repeat that. 4 teams. These 4 teams are making the playoffs if the season ends today. The Minnesota Twins, the Houston Astros, the New York Mets, and the Chicago Cubs. What have we done, baseball? This is terrible. Minnesota Twins, they have the second wild card right now. You can call it Torrey Hunter's influence, or you can call it luck, like I do. They won't be there for much longer. They just won't. I know the AL West sucks, and I know the AL East has some issues, but I expect an AL Central team, Detroit or Kansas City, taking one of the wild cards, and then an AL East team, Rays, Yankees, Orioles, taking the other wild card. No room for Minnesota. I don't even expect them to finish over 500, to be honest, at the end of the year. For Houston, they're up really big time in AL West. Some people call it talent. I call it the fact that no one else in that division really has a good team. Oakland sold everyone. Oakland gave up before the season started. Angels didn't do much. I mean, they got rid of Josh Hamilton. They're paying Josh Hamilton to play for the Rangers. That's something I don't understand at all. That was a terrible trade on their part. So Angels are going to stick around 500. That's just about where they're at. They have the all-star Mike Trout. But other than that, really not big on the Angels. For the Mariners, I was really big on them. I'm still kind of big on them. I'm still counting on them a little bit. They just have such a good team that's got to piece it together. They have this year. But just like the Nationals the past couple of years, they're very streaky, and their losing streaks tend to last longer than the winning streaks. That's their problem. So that kind of leaves Houston just by themselves up there. So that's why they're in first. I mean, I'll give it to Houston. They've played some good games. But for the most part, they're in a pretty bad division. So say what you want to say there. New York Mets, they are in first place over the Nationals. Now the Nationals lost Harper for however long. Mets starting pitching has been ridiculously good with the return of Harvey. So I'm kind of high on the Mets right now. I'll give it to them. I'm big on the Mets. I'll go with it. And with the Cubs, I don't think this is the year. I think they're one more year. Just with the Pirates playing so well and the Cardinals still on top, I don't think there's enough room in that division or the entire National League. I think the Giants will probably finish off with that second wild card. Cubs will probably fall off. They'll be one spot off. But still, good season for the Cubs. They'll finish better than they have in past seasons, just not the playoffs. So for all these 4 teams, I'm saying Minnesota doesn't make the playoffs. Houston doesn't make the playoffs. I'll give it to the Mets. I think a wild card. I think the Nationals will still win the division despite all the negativity I just gave them. But I think the Mets will probably pull off a first or second wild card. They'll probably be the Giants. I know I'm contradicting myself here. Giants or Mets, I'll give it to the Mets. I forgot about the Mets there for a second. And the Cubs, as I said, not their season, but they're going to be close. So if these 4 teams, I think one's probably going to make the playoffs. I might be wrong. Maybe all 4 will make the playoffs. But I don't see the Twins doing that. And the last piece of news today is just recently MLB has decided to cancel 65 million votes for the All-Star Game in light of the eight Kansas City players in the starting lineup. So in response to this, they canceled 65 million votes that they found to be not legitimate. In other words, 65 million votes came from the same IP address. If someone, I'll give you a little review of how you vote. You go to MLB.com, you put in your email address, you get 35 votes with that email address. The problem they were finding is that people were just making up email addresses and going through it. So instead of 35 votes, people were putting in thousands. And there are crazy fans like that, super fans who do that. So in response to that, they decided to cancel 65 million votes. This is terrible. This is the worst thing ever. They're just upset that the fans found a way around their terrible system. They really should have made it harder, in my opinion. I voted On Lifestyle Sports, there's a lot of articles about some solutions to this. I personally feel like the All-Star Game should not be only the fans voting. I think it should be half fans, half maybe the baseball writers, like they do for the Hall of Fame voting and all that. But for myself, if the All-Star Game is going to count so heavily on the World Series home field advantage, then you got to make this legitimate. You can't have 8 Royals in the starting lineup. This is obviously MLB's way of trying to fix this. I think it's bad because of those 65 million votes. Sure, maybe a couple of them were frauds, but I'm sure some people had actual legitimate votes in there, and now they don't get them. So that's terrible in my opinion. MLB doing all this just because someone found a way around their guidelines. I'd say wait till next year. MLB fixes it then. Instead, they want to fix it now. Looks really bad on their part because they're pretty much just showing that they made a mistake, and now they're trying to make up for it, which is getting rid of fans' votes, whose fans spent the time to go to their website and vote on a game that MLB really requires a lot of fan interest in to make it a really great event. So 65 million votes, I don't know how many people that comes out to if you divide it by 35, but that's how many people are now apparently not important to MLB with their votes for the All-Star Game. I get it. Some of them are illegitimate, but still, I don't like that. But anyways, this was the instant replay today. We'll have more of it in coming days. Don't forget to go Lifestyle Sports, and thank you all for watching.